Yes, it's a topic that people don't like other people discussing, but fortunately the title and thumbnail of this video make it very clear that today's subject is the FA charge against Lucas Paqueta. And before we get into it, I've got a complaint about Sky Sports News and the reporting of this case last night. Because last night they had it, breaking news, and informed us of nothing we didn't already know, but breaking news. Lucas Paqueta's hearing is set to begin later this month, which we already knew. The date of the 20th of March was put out there well over a week ago, so we already knew it was beginning later in March. And it's set to last 3 weeks, which will be the longest of its kind in FA history. The FA's charge sheet is a recommendation that Lucas Paqueta is banned for life, and they correctly so reiterated that Lucas Paqueta maintains his innocence in all of this. So, 20th of March it gets underway. This hearing will come to a conclusion after about 3 weeks. However, I don't think it's the end of it, and that's what we're going to discuss today as well. But my complaint about Sky Sports is in fact that they labelled it up as breaking news and didn't necessarily tell us anything new. That's not my complaint. My complaint is, when Canva was doing his segment and he was reading out the news, at the end of it, he reiterated that Lucas Paqueta is maintaining his innocence. And he said that Paqueta is certain that he's not put a bet on any football game. No one's accusing him of doing that. There's absolutely no accusation or allegation, and more importantly, there's no charge that Lucas Paqueta has placed a bet on any football match. This is not the same as Tonali or Ivan Toney, who did bet on football. There is nobody claiming that Lucas Paqueta has placed a single bet on football. And I just feel it's very irresponsible of Sky Sports News to say that, because it's irrelevant. And to say that Paqueta is claiming his innocence, he's not placed a bet on football, well, that suggests that your source regarding Paqueta is non-existent, because why would Paqueta maintain he's not put a bet on football when no one's even suggesting he has? Just like there's no accusation, and more importantly, no charge that Lucas Paqueta himself has financially benefited from this. The charge is that he's picked up 4 bookings, 1 in 2022, 3 in 2023. He's picked up 4 yellow cards intentionally, knowing that he was committing fraud, as other people were financially benefiting. Those back in Paqueta Island, they were cashing in on Paqueta picking up 4 intentional bookings. So that's what his charge is. His charge is picking up 4 yellow cards on purpose, knowing that people were betting on it and making money out of it. There is no... I just found it frustrating listening to it, that to say that he's not put a bet on any football match. No one's accusing him of doing so. There is also the allegation that he's disposed of evidence, which I think that's an easy one to throw out. Paqueta handed, I assume it's his phone, handed his phone over to FA. They had it, they gave it back to him, and then he got rid of it. Why wouldn't he get rid of it? In the meantime, he would have acquired a new phone. Why would he go a sustained period of time without one? He's gone and acquired a new one, gets the old one back, doesn't need it anymore. So that one's on the FA. Now, obviously, the problem with this is, as we know, the case is a civil case. It's done on probability, and no hard evidence is required yet. I think if there was hard evidence, I think this would have been done months and months ago. It's been getting delayed, and the FA have been the ones delaying it and delaying it. It's not Lucas Paqueta that's been kicking the can down the road. So it would suggest that the FA haven't got their smoking gun just yet. And like you said, it's done on probability, and it doesn't look great. Let's be realistic. It doesn't look great. People on Paqueta Island are betting on Paqueta to get booked, as well as Henrique over at Real Betis at the time. They both get booked. There's an allegation that Paqueta suggested that he would be getting his brother a birthday present by picking up a yellow card so that they could cash in on it. Against Aston Villa, we played Aston Villa on his brother's birthday. He picked up a booking, and when you look at the booking, it's not great. All 4 yellow cards don't look great. But you know what? Speaking of probability, 21% chance. 21% chance. Not that Paqueta's going to be found guilty or innocent. I don't know what those probabilities are. But what I do know, factual, this is hard evidence as well as probability. If you bet on Paqueta to get a booking in every single game of his senior career. So we're talking West Ham, Lyon, AC Milan, Brazil, Flamengo. If you bet on every single game, you'd have had a 21% chance of winning 1 in 5. I would suggest that those odds are quite good. For a player getting booked, 1 in 5 is quite a big percentage. And this has to be taken into consideration with the case, just like there will be other instances of Paqueta picking up stupid yellow cards. He's picked up stupid bookings since all this came out, and you'd imagine if he had done something wrong, he'd begin to behave himself. And he did. He went for a period at West Ham after. He didn't pick up a yellow card in about 6-7 games. Because I remember joking to Gonz about it in a video saying, can he get booked, please? Because it's starting to look a little bit iffy. But he has picked up stupid yellow cards. He always has done. In his entire career, 21% of games he's been booked in. That is a huge percentage. Anyway, let's talk about what we know. And then I'll talk about one of my sort of concerns, if you like, other than Paqueta being found guilty. So what we know is back in Brazil, they've had their hearing, and this is important. Lucas Paqueta has not and will not be prosecuted in that trial. That trial, they've gone after 3 businessmen in particular. One of them is Paqueta's uncle. So we've got 2 Brunos. We've got Marlon Bruno, who is the ringleader, supposedly, and also turned out to be a bit of a grass. And then we've got Uncle Bruno, Paqueta's uncle, and there's a third one. They're the ones that are being charged and prosecuted, and they're facing jail time. They've also admitted to it. So Marlon Bruno, the one that ended up snitching on people, he's the one that's released the information, if you like, that said, oh yeah, Paqueta was going to get a booking on his brother's birthday. He told him it's a birthday present. He's the one, and he's accused Uncle Bruno as being the guy that would recruit players for the scandal, the betting ring, whatever you want to call it. So that's happening in Brazil. Paqueta's given evidence at this, and Paqueta is not being prosecuted by that side of it. It's the English FA and only the English FA that are after him. What is also important to remember here is that there's evidence of 2 payments to Henrique. Now, Henrique was playing for Real Betis at the time, and some of the bets that have been placed on Paqueta were also doubles, so that they needed Paqueta and Henrique to get booked in their team's game that weekend. It happened. Both players got booked. The payouts happened. But there's evidence of Henrique being paid twice, £5,000 each occasion, up to 100 grand in total across the entire thing surrounding Lucas Paqueta. 100 grand in total was won by people back on Paqueta Island opening and placing bets, open accounts and placing bets on these players getting booked. Some of those people were Lucas Paqueta's family. This is one way to say now is a possibility. It is possible that Henrique was involved, that he was told, get some bookings. And it is possible that they would have bet on him and Paqueta, knowing that Paqueta picks up a lot of yellow cards. We've already established that. He picks up a lot of bookings in his career. And we also know, as West Ham fans, he picks up a lot of stupid bookings. So some of them don't look great, but the one thing you have to remember is when you go back and look at these yellow cards, you're doing it with the knowledge that he's now been accused of picking yellow cards up intentionally. So at the time when it happened, when Paqueta made his clumsy tackle on John McGinn, there is one a bit worse than another one, which was against Bournemouth when he jumps up and punches the ball in the last minute. That one looks really bad. But at the time when it happened, I don't recall anyone thinking, this is suspicious. We all just went, that's just what Lucas Paqueta does. But when I remember before it was the Bournemouth game, before the game kicked off, the odds on Lucas Paqueta to get booked were 4-6, 4-7, which for a player to get booked, those odds are incredibly unusual, and it's done by the market, so a lot of money was getting placed on Paqueta to get booked. But there is a possibility that you could put your money on Paqueta and Henrique if Henrique is in on it, because you know there's a good chance Paqueta is going to get booked. I bet, and there's been some games I put Paqueta to get booked in the bet, not because I think he's in on it or I'm in on it, just because I think he's going to get booked, because he quite often does. Simple as that. So there is that possibility, but Henrique is the one that's in trouble, if you like. Paqueta maintains his innocence. Like I said at the start, there is no evidence that Paqueta has been paid for this or has financially benefited at all. The only thing that makes Paqueta complicit is the fact that he picked up these yellow cards for the games that people were betting on. It's done by probability for now. So this FA hearing will be done in probability, and it doesn't look great. I've always had, for those that have been, as I say, long-term subscribers, it kind of has to be, you needed to have been subscribed to the channel over a year ago when all this first came out. So for those that were subscribed over a year ago, well, no, I've always had a bad feeling about this, because what is the likelihood that people in Paqueta Island are opening up accounts, sticking money on, and Paqueta gets booked in those games? But like I said, when you go watch the yellow cards, they're not the best ones for him to be picking up. That one against Bournemouth when he punches the ball, and the other one I think it was against Leicester when he got subbed off. I can't remember which one. There was another one. There's two in particular I look at. I think, oh no, they look terrible. The other two, they're just Paqueta being Paqueta. Anyway, let's get back onto it. So that's the latest on what's going on in the hearing and what's going on over in Brazil. Now, the English FA's hearing will come to a conclusion in April at some point. However, while that's done on probability, it doesn't look great. Paqueta and the FA both have a right to appeal, regardless of whatever way it goes in. I'm hoping that Paqueta's found innocent, the FA leave it alone. And I'll be honest with you, if he's found innocent, I hope West Ham go after the FA. We'll get onto that in a second. But if Paqueta's found guilty, he can appeal. I believe the first appeal remains in England. But if he was to appeal again, which he can do, he can appeal the appeal. That will go to CAS, which is obviously over in Switzerland. And that's where it becomes about evidence rather than probability. That's where the FA would have to produce evidence that Paqueta did this on purpose, that he has committed fraud. And that's where I think the real trial will take place. I'm only picking up what I've seen and read, and I've tried to keep my fingers across everything, my eyes across everything in regards to this, but not everything has been released to public knowledge. It's going to last 3 weeks for a reason. There's going to be a lot to get through. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up with CAS, and then that's when it becomes a completely different hearing. Whilst the appeal is ongoing, if there is an appeal ongoing, Paqueta can play for West Ham United. I am quite confident Paqueta will continue to play for West Ham this season, although during the hearing might be a bit tricky, just his own state of mind. This could go on for months, and we're talking over a year here. I wouldn't be surprised this time next year it's still not cleared up, that there's still another hearing to get through. Even if he is found guilty, the FA only have the jurisdiction of the English FA games. They will be pushing FIFA to punish him as well, and they want FIFA to go after Paqueta and ban him from their competition as well. But there is a possibility that come the summer that Paqueta can just move to a different country and play football over there, because the FIFA hearing will then take a while too. While Paqueta's hearing with English FAs in 3 weeks, it ain't going away anytime soon. This is going to go on and on. The only way that this, I think, might come to an end, and there's a line drawn under it immediately, and that's if he's found innocent. But even then, I hope it's not finished. And I'll tell you why I hope it's not finished. Because if he's found innocent, I hope West Ham United go after the FA for this one. Because if he's found that he's done nothing wrong, and that this has been a little bit of a witch hunt. Now, the FA are just doing what they've got to do. Betway did what they had to do. Okay, there's a lot being made about it being West Ham sponsors. And I think it's unfortunate for everyone involved that it's Betway. It can't be comfortable for West Ham. It won't be comfortable for Betway. It's not going to be great for Lucas Paqueta running around Betway on the front of his shirt every week when they're the ones that... But they've got rules and regulations to adhere to. So when this activity happens, they have to flag it up. It's got nothing to do with the fact it's West Ham United, and it's got nothing to do with the fact it's Lucas Paqueta. If the same thing happened, and everybody in Paqueta Island, or just anywhere, people in New Zealand, I don't know if you get Betway in New Zealand, but you do get Betway in Brazil. That's part of the problem to some extent. They've all opened up new accounts and started putting money, maximum stakes of what they can within a new account. They've been putting new maximum stakes on. So let's just say people in Paqueta Island this weekend open up Betway accounts. Scrap Betway. People in Paqueta Island open up Bet365 accounts and start slapping money on Stoke City players to get booked. Bet365 have to go, hang on a minute, this FA, they own Stoke City. The same people own they'd have to grasp, I guess, on their own club to some extent. Betway have just done what they have to do as a bookmaker. That's all. They haven't snitched on West Ham or Lucas Paqueta or anything else. I hope, if anything, they gave the club the heads up, said, look, before we go and tell those that we do need to tell about this, just so you know, this is a way to happen. You've got an hour, it's grace, to get things in place so that you're not shocked. Anyway, I've gone off at a tangent here, forgot what I was saying. Yes, West Ham going after the FA. Because that summer when all this came out, West Ham were potentially on the verge of selling Lucas Paqueta to Manchester City for 85 million. Now, on the assumption there is a written offer there, it'd be very easy to prove. Now, I'm putting the Cole Palmer thing to one side because A, complicated, and B, I think he would have chose Chelsea over West Ham anyway. But it's pretty much been confirmed by both sides, Man City and West Ham, that they were trying to sign Lucas Paqueta, but they couldn't because of this charge. So it'd be very easy for West Ham to prove loss of earnings. I think Paqueta would go after the FA because he's already asked them to investigate how certain details of the hearing is being leaked already. And he will have loss of earnings. He's been prevented a move to Man City, which you would assume would have a huge wage increase for him. So there's a massive loss of earnings for club and player here because of this charge. So if he's found innocent, I hope both parties throw the book at the FA. But the hearing set to begin later this month, will last 3 weeks. It's not the end of it. It is not the end of it. Like I said, the only way I think it might be the end is if he's found innocent. But even then, there may be other ones to come off the back of it. So it's just another step. It's another chapter. An indication, perhaps, as to whether or not he's guilty or not. Because we will find out more details. As this hearing goes on, more and more details about the case will be released to Joe public. And hopefully, when Sky Sports News are reporting on it, they can report on it a little bit more accurately than they perhaps did last night. Anyway, catch you in a bit.